Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Road to Formula 1. Today we're racing at the Twin Peak, the one ring to rule them all. And I gotta say, I've never driven this track before this week, and it is a very, very difficult one. We're gonna be in for a spectacular race, I'm sure. I'm gonna do all types of sorts of stuff wrong, like usual. Anyway, in the 7th division, we are placed
10th
at the beginning of this week, and I'm very, very curious where we are after this race. Are we gonna get lower on the leaderboards, or are we headed for that champion spot? And before we start, a big old thank you to my big, beautiful boys, Jorik, Arthur Cabral, Alex Fleming, and of course, JB Kelly. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. And now, let's get the heck into this race.
23 laps.
Alright, here we are at the Twin Ring Motegi.
Get ready, mate, it's hammer time. Floor it, green, green, green.
Alright, almost a bad start, but ooh, one coming up the inside here.
Right side's clear.
Yeah, I kinda not dare to do that on cold tires here. Baby, what a track. I've been practicing this one a lot because it's very, very hard, and especially this corner on cold tires can be dangerous as heck. But let's see if this is the episode where I do not spin out in the first lap. That would be epic, wouldn't it, guys? Everybody's so well behaved this first lap. I like it very, very much. I did one race earlier today in these cars, and everybody spun out in that first corner, and it was just a heck of a mess.
On your left.
We got...
Clear left.
It's Hamilton right in front of me. I don't know when his breaking point is. I gotta get to know these guys. Alright, we lost a few places, but we didn't spin out yet, so that's good. That's a good sign. And we'll get him back next time. Ooh. I also botched the start a little bit because last race I tried to do a standing start, but for some reason my brake didn't really take, and
Car left. Clear left.
and I had a jumping start, and having a little bit of a bad start is way better than having to go into the pits for 30 seconds to serve a penalty. I spun out so many times in that corner before. I'm so cautious right now. Is that Michael Schumacher in my rear view mirror? Gee whiz, guys. I like these liveries. They're all very F1 inspired, of course. Oh, he's gonna... Ooh, I thought he was gonna dive up the inside there, but he didn't. But this track, it's such a hard one. It's especially because I have no experience before this week with driving this track. I had to learn it from scratch, and the combination of quick corners with the slower ones, and with these cars that just spin out so quickly, it's been a difficult task to learn it well.
The leader has just done 137.1. Clear right.
Whoa! Did he just beat my ass?
B8 on your right.
Oh, come on, buddy. You
Clear
can't
right.
just...
That lap was a 140.1.
Not in these cars. You can't just throw it up the inside. It's very, very dangerous. Oh, that is one hell of a lawnmower. That's an expensive one, boys. Ah, geez Louise, we gotta get it together. I think our tires have warmed up a little bit so we can take it somewhat more rough. I can do 1 second quicker per lap, I think. That's what I've been practicing, but not with traffic. It feels so good when you're... I practiced a couple of hours, and here's a little very funny anecdote. For some reason, iRacing loaded up my my Red Bull Ring setup, or the standard setup for the Red Bull Ring, while I was practicing in this car. So I've been practicing for a few hours on the Red Bull Ring setup before I actually noticed that there was another setup for this track.
It's now 1.5.
So I've been practicing today with that setup, and it went a lot better, I must say.
That's a new fastest lap for Montoya, 136.7.
Use some DRS here, baby. Come on. Let's get closer to them.
That was a 139.7.
Yes, 139. Let's keep it under the 140. That's good. A lot of heavy traffic coming up here. You really got to ease on the throttle there, because you're at such an angle that if it's just a little too much, you're just flying horizontally. And that's with a lot of these slow corners. You have these fast parts where you just have to chuck the car into the corner like this. Oh God, please. And then you have to really do some serious throttle controlling on corners like this.
The gap behind has now decreased to 4.3 seconds.
Yeah, that's because the guy spun out, spotter man. I don't know if this is a better straight for the DRS, but we'll figure it out once we get near somebody. So our DRS has effect. Oh, this is... Ooh, that's one of the most fun parts in this whole on this whole track. Just daring to throw it so quickly through that little part.
P7, that lap time was 139.9.
No, man. That's the double-sidedness of tracks that are difficult. Once you get a hang of these more difficult tracks, they're so much fun to drive. But it takes a hell of a lot of time to get a bit decent at them. And as you can see, I'm still driving very, very cautiously because I've had so many accidents, and my accident avoiding brain is reminding me of all the times I've spun out, all the times I've crashed into the barriers because I hit the throttle too much, or I steered too much, or whatever you can think of. I've done it wrong. Ah, that Fran Garcia, he's pulling away from us. That's not good. We're still in number 7. But I don't know what the strength of field is. Come on. Oh, that almost went completely wrong. The thing about these brakes is if you push them too hard on a not straight bit, they're not only gonna lock up, they're gonna throw you around the bend, and that's the last thing I want right now. Because in my opinion, we're doing pretty alright. We're doing pretty alright. For my ability, we're driving consistent under 140s. which is for me, it's a good pace. I like it. Maybe we'll even get faster as the race progresses, because that's what I've seen. Once I get into a little bit of a flow of things, I dare to do, I dare to do more epic moves, as you gamers like to call them. Because you feel the car somewhat more. Because, yeah, you tune out the thinking part of your brain, and you rely on what you're feeling through the steering wheel, and a little bit through the throttle rumblings that I get.
The guy behind's catching.
Oh no, the guy behind's catching. This is not good. But I don't want to try to go all too much faster. I don't want to try any crazy stuff, because I'm very skeptical if that will result in any good fortune. If I try to push it too hard, I probably will get into an accident, because I'm not that great of a driver in these things. And I think the issue of him reeling me in is because I'm not a very precise driver. I think I leave a lot of time just laying around, because I do not maximize the track space. Like this, it feels good for me. It feels like I'm flowing like water. But I see that he's reeling me in. So I must be leaving seconds behind. And I don't know where.
The leader's just done it. 136.
Please don't dive up the inside. That's very dangerous right here. You can overtake me in the next part, buddy. He's gonna dive up the inside of the next corner, I promise you this.
Alright, Q, don't let this guy distract you. Alright, clear right. That was 138.7. That's your best lap in this session. Come on, don't let him get away.
Let's follow this guy a little bit, see what he does. Maybe we'll learn a thing or two, and that would be good. I think people brake harder here, and they brake later. But I don't dare to do it. I think I'm gonna overshoot the corner big time if I do that. Oh, someone's calling me. That's what I thought. Hopefully it's not something terribly important. Whoa, with the radiator right next to me as well, it's becoming terribly hot. Like I'm really in Japan in the burning sun in my fireproof suit.
8th place.
Yeah, I get it, boy. You don't have to repeat it. Oh, we did a 138 actually. We're going pretty alright here. This guy up ahead is just very, very fast. And that's what I always try to remind myself of. That for me 138 is pretty alright, and getting your pace up is a natural progression of things.
2.5 seconds.
Once you're more in tune with your car, more in tune with the circuit, the pace will naturally go up. And you shouldn't push it all too hard. in a race especially. And what was I gonna say? When you're doing consistent alright laps for yourself, that's the most you can do, I think. And doing some radical changes on the fly, that's not that's what practice is for, not a race. So we're just gonna keep it consistent. We're not gonna drive it into the grass here, and hopefully other people will do that, and we can take advantage of that, of their accidents. Alright, let's use some DRS here to pull away a little bit. Jeez Louise. It's kind of hot in here. Ah, that felt right. That felt right. I don't know why I went into an English accent all of a sudden.
That lap was at 138.9.
Yeah, feeling good. Ought to be in Hollywood. So, to keep the airwaves filled with my sweet and sultry voice, I've actually started watching Frasier. I don't know who recommended it, but someone out there recommended it on the last race of this series, and in comparison to Seinfeld, it's so much more wholesome. I forgot how unwholesome Seinfeld sometimes is. Like, everything just goes wrong in Seinfeld, and that's the funny bit about it. But in Seinfeld, they're characters and not real people, and in Frasier, they're a little bit more real. They have feelings, and I've watched the first 2 episodes where Frasier's dad moves in, and they're having a little bit of a disagreement, but they in the second episode they agree that it's gonna take some years to form a good father-son relationship, one they never had, and it's a little bit heartwarming, and that's also good to have in your life. I like it very, very much. I never really seen Frasier, besides the odd episode on TV while you're just zapping around, you know, switching channels. So, watching it for the first time, I really, really like the jokes, the humor. It was very much in line with myself, and so it was one of the best suggestions one of you out there has done. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But one thing I do not get about Frasier, and maybe this changes over time, but why does Frasier hate the dog? It's such a sweet such a sweet dog, and he just stares at Frasier and does nothing else. I get why he's a little bit creeped out, but it's a dog, and dogs are the best. So maybe that's a plot point that will resolve itself. Maybe it will keep on existing and I'll never find out why he hates that dog so much. Oh man, this is such a shame about these races. When these guys are just way off in the distance. It gets a little bit lonely here at the Twin Rings of Motegi. But we'll eventually get him. We're halfway there already. And it's about consistency, am I right? Anything can happen. These things are easy to spin out, so maybe everybody up ahead gets a race-ending incident and I end up in first place. Things like that do happen. You never know what is around each corner in life. You gotta be hopeful, you gotta be optimistic that everything is gonna work out. And most of the time, things will work out for themselves. You don't even see them coming. It's a left field solution that you never even thought of, and all of a sudden your life looks a little bit more brighter. But I think you gotta have a good attitude for things like that to happen. You gotta be looking out for opportunities that you gotta grab onto to make life better. And so I'm looking out for opportunities to make this race better. You can already see that I've been watching 2 episodes of Frasier where because I think he's a radio psychologist, he comes up with advice like this. Oh yes, baby. 7.5 seconds to Frank Garcia. Maybe we'll reel him in a little bit. I hope we do. I hope we can have a cool fight with him. There he goes on the horizon. We gotta catch him, guys. We gotta catch him. We need an Auga and a little bit DRS here. Oh, now I didn't see him at the end of the straight. Yeah, there he is in his red Schumacher car. 7.7 seconds away. We can catch him. I believe in myself, yes. That was my best lap. I know. It felt good. Did it feel good for you guys as well? I hope it did. Ah, 8.2. No, we're losing him. Guys, you're not typing Auga fast enough. Uh-oh. That's just a little tactic me and the F1 drivers know to keep your tires a little warmer through the cold times of the year.
The gap to Garcia ahead is increasing. It's now 8.9.
Gee dang it. We're in a pretty much a dead zone here. Because the guy behind us is 10 seconds away. Garcia up front, 9 seconds away. This is rough, boys. I'm not gonna lie. I'm wondering if they have completely different setups than me, or if they're just way better drivers. Probably the second one, that's for sure. Alright. I don't know if this is even interesting to watch. That's why I'm trying hard to come up with topics to entertain you guys with. But of course, I'm not a podcast host, so I'm not really I'm a little trained in this subject. Because sometimes I talk throughout whole videos, but sometimes I'll let you in on a little secret here, right? Sometimes I think about the subjects that I want to discuss at length before I start a video. Like the first race of this season, I wanted to talk about Seinfeld and Metal Gear. And those are two topics that I can talk pretty long about. There's much to discuss. Oh wait, now that I'm thinking about it, last weekend, me and my good old buddy Gert, we finished Metal Gear Solid 2, which is one of my favorite Metal Gear Solids. And if you haven't played it yet, play the whole franchise, because it's well worth it if you're a gamer like me. Or if you just like very good stories. Play them on easy, don't care. You'll get the story and you'll be mind blown, because one of the great things about Metal Gear Solid 2 is how it predicted the actual future, and it's crazy with how much accuracy 2001 Hideo Kojima predicted the future. Like, he's talking, there are drones in the game, drones with cameras and guns, and maybe that's not too far-fetched because they're like mini helicopters, right? Okay. But he's talking about the control of information by AIs. That the government is actually, how do you say it? Looking at whatever information is out there on the internet and tailoring it to your needs. So the algorithms, the governments, they decide what you get to see, what you get to read. And I gotta say, it's they're talking about in Metal Gear Solid 2, they're talking about governments or something above the government doing it, the Patriots, but it's not far-fetched from what Google and Facebook are doing. You know, when you're searching on Google, you gotta rely on them to give you the information, and they decide what you get and what you don't get, and things like that. It's just fun to think about that a game from 2001 had such a good idea of what information control was going to be looking like, how the political avenues will be controlled through information control, and all that kind of jazz. How the masses can be riled up to back a war just based on the information they're given, and all that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty neat game. It gets you questioning reality a little bit, and there's enough plot twists to feel like yeah, what is a there's just a ton of plot twists in Metal Gear Solid 2 alone. That whole game is like a plot twist in and of itself, but then you think you're doing one thing, and then it turns out that you're actually doing something completely different, and then it turns out to be all a simulation, but that's also not true, because they're trying to keep the guy who thinks it's all a simulation in the dark for the bigger picture, and it's just great. And I love it. It's one of my favorite Metal Gear Solids. I don't know if it's 2 or 4, but I like just the Snake and Raiden arc. So Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 4, they involve Snake, Solid Snake at least. Because in Metal Gear Solid 3, you go back in time to 1964. Not with a time machine, but just you play as Naked Snake, who eventually, and this is a spoiler, but it's something you see coming from the start of the game. Naked Snake becomes the big boss
135.7
in Metal Gear Solid 3. It's so good. Just talking about it makes me excited to play some more of it. And this weekend, the journey will continue. We'll start with Metal Gear Solid 3, which is so fun. It's I love how Metal Gear Solid 3, like on Metal Gear Solid 2, you end on like the biggest cliffhanger there is. Sort of. Like the game wraps up, but you have so many questions about the bigger world and what's going on and how it's gonna be solved and all that kind of stuff. And then Metal Gear Solid 3, yeah, I think back in 2004 people hoped to continue with where Metal Gear Solid 2 left off, but you're just thrown back to the beginning of most of the stuff, back to 1964, where you get to see the origins of Big Boss, and you're just left there wondering, well, but what happens to the world now? And you just gotta suck it up. But Metal Gear Solid 3 is just such a different game from what you've been playing in 1 and 2. Oh, I should have shifted down a little more. But in 1 and 2, you're playing a modern military sneaking game. And then Metal Gear Solid 3 is just Cold War sneaking game with better cutscenes. And, well, it's just the best James Bond game ever made. If you don't know, listen to the theme song of Metal Gear Solid 3. It's called Snake Eater. Listen to the orchestral uitvoering. I don't know what it's, rendition in English, but it's so good. It's the best James Bond theme there is. And it's just such a completely different game, and you don't expect it, but looking back on the whole Metal Gear Solid saga, it being coming out of left field, a game like that,
okay, Q, the next car is
it's just par for the course. It's super normal in a game with more plot twists and crimes being committed daily in Chicago. I think that's the
Montoya is now leading.
That's the city in the US with the highest crime rate. I don't know why my brain made that connection, but maybe I'm wrong. Please let me know if I'm wrong. I love to learn. But yeah, Metal Gear, I love it. I love it. If you've played Metal Gear, please let me know what your favorite game is. I like 4, I think, the most, because it's got this guy is cramping my style. Gee dang it. But Metal Gear Solid 4, it has such amazing cutscenes. It's almost like you're watching a movie with some gameplay in between. And I know that's been memed to death, but that's why I kind of like it even more, because then you can see the full scope of what Kojima envisioned.
It's now 12 seconds.
Half the match.
And it wasn't possible before the PlayStation 3, and it's still such a self-aware game, and it's so self-aware that it came out in the same year as Fallout 3, and Fallout 3 of course had the classic trailer where they said war. War never changes. And then in Metal Gear Solid 4, it starts with war. War has changed. And it's so great. I love it. The monkey wanting to smoke the cigarette. It's just such a great game. Ooh. Me not doing so well on the brakes there, but we'll get it back. We'll get it back. So yeah, Metal Gear Solid. I love it. What else do I have to talk about? We're only 2 laps out. Sometimes you just get into the zone while you're talking about stuff like that. It's really like I'm making my own podcast. But there's a few things, more things I want to say about Metal Gear. We had such a blast playing it because we played it on normal, Metal Gear Solid 2, and
2 laps left.
No, downshift a little bit too much. We played it on normal, and my buddy, he's not really a gamer like I am, and he hasn't played it for the 4th time, so it was his first time around. And those PlayStation 2 controls, they're pretty janky. They can get pretty complicated if you just want to shoot a guy around a corner. So one of the most funny things about a janky game like that is how many times we died because we just fricked up the controls. We just couldn't handle it anymore, and then you just push the wrong buttons, you run the wrong way. Remix. So yeah, that was just a lot of fun, and I think that's one of the great things while playing a game with a buddy on the couch. It's just laughing while you screw up, while he screws up, and just having a good old time. And something that's how I created my fondest gaming memories, just hanging out with friends and screwing around with games. I remember a time where when I was still in uni, when I was still in college,
ahead is increasing. It's now 15 seconds.
I had a gaming laptop, and one of my good friends, he lived practically next to my college, and I always went, not always, but there were many nights that I, after school, went to his house to play Battlefield 4, and we've played a ton of Battlefield 4. I think I have 1,000 hours or something in that game. Because it's just so much fun to just hang out with someone and play the same game while being in the same room. Discord and all that kind of stuff, it's great. I wouldn't want to miss it for the world, but there's something about just hanging out with someone in person and having a good time while playing some stupid games, having a beer or whatever tickles your fancy. Alright. This is the last lap. I think we've done pretty alright. We're in 8th place. If I don't screw up majestically this last few corners, we're gonna be in 8th place while we finish. And I think it went pretty alright. We were pretty consistent, and that's what I like to see. I hope you liked this episode. It was more of a podcast than a race, but that's what happens when your pace is below the rest. Anyway, if you watched it up until this point, thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next video. My beautiful baby boys and girls, I love you guys. Mwah. Have a good day, and thanks for hanging out.